said he had a dream of killing Lorenzo.
Did not know that.
And then, and this is what really got sick. So he's like talking about the girl who left with her husband. And he starts talking about, man, if it was back in the day, I would just pimp her out. I would have her lick my nuts and all this other stuff. Like, yes, bro. Yes, bro. And I'm like, I stopped and I looked at him like, dog,
Wow.
is a pastor supposed to be talking like that?
Wow.
How is your disciple gonna know a level of decorum you're supposed to have in sanctification of holiness? How am I gonna rebuke you about how you're supposed to be speaking?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And he's like, oh, Stephen, you're right, man. You're right, man. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, man. You're my dog. You whatever, like that. And they just brushed it off to the side, like, bro, that's not how you supposed
So
to.
you checked them about it, or?
Yeah, I checked him about it. Like, bro, you're not supposed to be talking like that. Why are you even talking like this? You know? But at the same time, I was so wrapped up in that whole friendship,
Yeah.
web.
We're cool.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's got faults just like me too. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, so now, months later, they have those little encounters and stuff like this. They changed the name for it, and he wasn't going, right? He stayed at home because he's like, I want my wife to lead it. So one night, I leave my place, and then I go, because they were making us drive back and forth and stuff like this. So I did my class and I went home. So he texted me, and asked me about this girl, that came to the church recently, with the girl that left with her husband, the one I was just finished speaking of. And she was really close to that girl. They were friends, you know what I'm saying? And he was just asking me about this girl, you know what I'm saying? Asking me like, what do you know about her? Is she a friend to so-and-so? Tell me, what's this girl's story? I said, why are you asking me that? And he's like, well, I mean, she's messaging me in my inbox and all this other stuff like this. And I just want to know if she's with the haters, because that's what he referred to her as. But that's not
Like the people who left?
the people who left, you know what I'm saying? But the truth of the matter is this.
So was he getting paranoid?
He was getting very paranoid because he was trying to scope this chick out because he wanted to do something with her. He wanted to make sure for me that this girl was one of the haters, because if it was one of the haters, then it would have got back to them, and then it would have fell back on him, and he would have got in trouble. You see what I'm saying? So, anyways, the last time it happened, when he had to sit down for some time, okay, I remember you called me, and I want to say this was like in 2016, 2017-ish. You called me and said, hey, Stephen, I'm going to need you to preach tonight because Pastor Octavio's coming over here and his wife, and we're going to meet with a certain group of people, and I need you to help because we're about to prepare these people for an encounter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember that.
And you were like, yeah, I need you to preach, and I'm like, okay. So before service starts, they call certain members into the room to go meet with Octavio, David, you, Carol, and Carol's brother, all of them. And I'm like, okay, because I didn't know what the heck was going on. So I'm over here, I'm preaching, and then the way the church is positioned, the door was back there where everybody was meeting at. So if you leave, everybody's gonna know you left that, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a small space. So I'm over here preaching my heart out, and then Carol's brother comes out the door and he's crying. And I'm like, what the hell is going on in that room over there? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is he crying? And I've never seen that guy cry, because anybody who knows Carol's brother knows that this dude has one of the hardest hearts in the world. You know what I'm saying? So, like, he left and he was crying. He was upset. He went back to his little booth over there. Then Carol went in there after him and stuff, consoling him. And I'm over here preaching all like, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, what the hell's going on? And then after service, the homie Shaquay, he comes up to me. Shout out to Shaquay. And he comes, matter of fact, David tried to mess with his wife too.
Yes.
Anyway, so it's crazy, dog. Invite her out for coffee. Anyway, so wow. So Shaquay came up to me and he's like telling me, bro, like, oh man, this dude fell again. And I'm like, what? What happened? He's like, oh, they got him on video now. They recorded him talking inappropriately to a certain sister in the church and all this other stuff like this. And that certain sister
They got him in 4K?
I don't know,
They
dog.
got him on video?
I got the cat on video, candid camera.
Sheesh.
Caught you red-handed, bro.
Yeah.
And this sister kept trying to tell everybody, whoever she could tell, that this was what this guy was doing, and that she even recorded a session where they were talking, and I think he told her to take her top off or something like this, and then like I guess she did it or whatever, and then like she sent me audio of the conversation that they had, and this dude was telling her all this perverse stuff, talking about how he would have sex with her this way, that way, and all this other stuff
Oh,
like this.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I think, man, I was just like so dumb. Like why the hell did I not leave after that? You know what I'm saying? But I was just so loyal to everybody, but to a fault. You know what I'm saying? And then the night came where everybody had to sign these stupid contracts. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had signed these stupid contracts saying that
Eric made me
whatever. I didn't even sign. I just scribbled something. I didn't even sign it. Bro.
Eric made me sign it.
I wasn't even there.
So
Wait. So they caught this. They caught this pastor.
yeah,
Like they set him up. They set him up.
I guess you could say they set him up.
Yeah,
Set him up because they
she
were
didn't take-
recording it. They were recording it,
Yeah,
right?
but she didn't take off her clothes because we saw the video, bro. It was horrible. But she was, yeah, he was talking to her extremely,
Like
extremely-
hypersexual.
Yeah, like extremely like crazy. Like she was trying to invite him to her house, and he's just talking to her. Yeah, just very nasty, man. You know.
And that's the
And,
yeah,
yeah, just
and that's what I had to think about because
like
like
they just kept going back and forth. Like, I can't go to your house. Yeah, I want you to come. Like but just nasty,
yeah.
And then the whole messages too. Yeah, I read them all, and
So-
just, yeah, different. Just talking a lot about sex and different positions and stuff like that of things he would do to her.
So this is the girl that he was inquiring to you about.
No, this is another sister who was actually a member at the time.
Okay.
She was a member at the time that of the church, and we hadn't seen her in a while, but now we know why because that video eventually came out. So then we had to sign those dumb contracts. I didn't sign
Yeah,
one.
but let me back up a little bit. But that's why we had that meeting, so everybody knows. So that video came out.
Right.
It's in the, and a few people were able to see it or whatnot. And then, that's when Octavio came.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, okay, dude, we got the video, we got text messages. I mean, you just can't, get around this. So then they had that meeting, and when it all,
So they were
when it
confronting
all-
him during
yeah,
this
when it
meeting.
all, and that's why, he told me, hey, we'll just get Steven to preach. And I'm like, okay.
Did he come clean
so-
about this or no?
No,
don't know.
Octavio. Well, Octavio confronted him in that meeting and like supposedly, rebuked him. They're gonna remove him from ministry. They're gonna step in, try to, help us and wah wah wah. So everybody's kind of crying in there, and that's when Carol's brother just loses it, bro, and like started going after him, like he was gonna want to
Like to
punch
attack
him.
him?
Yeah, because obviously that's his sister, that he's doing that, too, and so that's
So
when
why
he left.
why was he in there though?
Who,
I mean,
her
that's
brother?
neither here nor yeah.
I don't know. I guess they
I mean,
wanted him
that's
in there.
neither here nor there. But I'm just wondering, like, why?
I can't fix the logistics
I mean,
of
I
everything,
think
bro. I don't know.
it's good that he was there because I think that as many people needed to know about what was going on in the first
Yeah.
place.
So so thank you. So so they handpicked. The rest of them that they didn't want to be in there were in the meeting with Steven.
Yeah, with
All
the
the
new-
new
the new
people and the ones they didn't want in that meeting were there. So the only ones they wanted to talk to were actually in that, in that room.
Was
or
that
with
like
me.
for accountability purposes, or
Well, I guess that they
to
felt they
expose
had
him?
Yeah, I guess they felt like they had more of a hold on us than they did on them, so they didn't want them to have to hear that versus us, which again to me goes against the
okay.
Bible because it tells you to do it to the whole church.
Yeah.
When you're actually a senior, leader like that. So I think that was kind of out
Off.
of place. Yeah, off. And so yeah, and that's the I guess the backdrop to that meeting that Steven's talking about.
Yeah. So we had that meeting, and he's
So this was like 2017.
2016, 2017,
2016 around there?
something
Okay.
like that. And people just started trickling out. People just started leaving, and we're like, hey, we're still gonna ride this thing out to the end. We believe in the prophecies that were placed on this church. We believe the prophecies that David has said, and all this other stuff like this. We believe for the mission 4,000, so to speak. But it was mission 0 because the more people we invited, the more people left. It was pathetic. There were times where I spend hours upon hours upon hours. I forgot to mention this. Along with the school and everything. I would go out there and just evangelize in the streets. Sometimes in 103-degree heat. Just preaching the gospel and inviting people to church, and nobody would show up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was really disheartening because Crystal would go with me, Maria and Ashley. I'm gonna get to her in a second. You know what I'm saying? You know, Benny had came at night. And I think Jose as well. And just certain individuals who were dedicated. Ruby, they were so dedicated, and they loved God so much, and they loved God's church so much. They wanted people to come out and come to church. You know what I mean? So, and it got to the point where David started coming with us. But for what? You know what I'm saying? He would go in these apartments with us when we go preach, and he wouldn't even do anything. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't do jack. You know what I'm saying? He didn't do anything. You know what I mean? He was just there like a bump on the log, just taking up space.
So was he like sitting down at this time, like on church
He
discipline?
was already church discipline. He had already been on church discipline before that. I don't know how many times this guy has been on church discipline, bro. So I don't know. I can't even tell you that, dog. I can't even tell you that.
Yo.
Bro. I can't even tell you that, man. So getting back to my friend Ashley, man. That chick right there had that chick had a gift. You know what I'm saying? She had one hell of a testimony, bro. But to speed things up a bit, this chick, she's like, we were friends to the point like this, like my sister, like my little sister. You know what I'm saying? And she had been writing her ex-boyfriend for some time. You know what I'm saying? And who was in jail. He was getting out. And then she's like, hey, do you think I should go see him? I said, no. She's like, why? Because that's going to bring up old flames, anything that hasn't died there, any type of soul tie that's there, you're going to give into, and you're probably going to fall away. So you shouldn't. She didn't listen. Even after, I think it was Crystal was there. I think it was Maria was there, and somebody else was there. We all sat down with Ashley, I think at IHOP or Denny's, whatever, and we were just talking to her for like 3-4 hours, you know what I'm saying, about how wrong of a decision this was. But she didn't listen. You know what I'm saying? She didn't listen. So, but anyway, as that's going on, me and David almost got into a fight. You know what I'm saying? We almost got into a fight.
Like a fist fight?
Oh, yeah, I was going to kill him. I swear. I was ready to kill him that day. You know what I'm saying? So this dude hung up on my face one time we were having a conversation. I tried calling him back several times, and he didn't answer. You know what I'm saying? And then I saw him at church, and he tried to pretend like nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? On a Wednesday service, I was trying to see if he was going to approach the situation and talk to me about it. He just kept passing it up. All right, cool. So then on a Sunday service, he comes up to me, and he tries to shake my hand, and I just look at him like, bro, get your hand on my face. And he's just holding his hand out like this, and I'm like, what? And he's like, you're not going to shake the hand of the man of God? And I'm like, hell no. And he's just like, you're not going to shake my hand? I was like, no. Wow. I said, why are you not going to shake my hand? It's like, fool, you hung up on my face, bro. And I tried calling you back, and you just disrespected me, dog. So then he was just like, I didn't hang up on your face. I said, nigga, yes, you did. Yes, you did hang up on my face, bro. And he's like, yeah, I didn't hang up on your face. That never happened. He's like, yeah, let's go talk in the office. So we go in the office, you know what I'm saying? We go in the office, and he tells his wife to get out. So there was like this chair, right? We had that long table, right? And I was sitting on this side, and he was sitting at the head of the table like this in those little rolling chairs, right? So I started telling him what happened. He's like, man, I never hung up on your face. I'm like, bro, stop lying. You know what I'm saying? Stop lying. You're lying, So then he starts getting all crunk with me and stuff like this. So then he starts to scooch his chair towards me, right? To try to intimidate me. But, dog, I'm from A-Leaf, nigga. So I scooped my chair up to him like this. And I said, what's up? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what's up, bro? What you want to do? You know what I'm saying? So then, I promise, bro, I've never seen this before. Out of all of my years of sin, you know what I'm saying? Out of all of my years as a Christian, I've never seen this before. Only on movies, all right? This dude, he backs his chair up, he scooches it forward, and he starts crying. What?
Like what you crying?
He starts crying, bro.
Like full on?
Yeah, he starts crying, bro, like trying to play the victim, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like thinking to myself, man, what the hell just happened? You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to battle with myself. I'm like, did I do something wrong as far as like, I was like, no, I didn't think that. I was like, God, I disrespected your servant. Kind of like, King David, and he wouldn't kill Saul, you know what I'm
So
saying?
he broke down in
This
tears.
fool broke down in tears. And ironically, this is the same routine he used to do to these girls who were going to tell his wife what he was trying to do. So he will always cry, play the victim role, and pretend and make it seem like he was having, issues. He's just a man. He's a sinner just like you are. Da 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 da.
So he's trying to
Eric,
get you
Eric,
to
he cried
sympathize.
with me and you. You remember that before he went on
Uh,
stage? Yes, bro. Behind the stage, when his mom was there for the service, me and you were there, dude. This is when the video came out and the text messages came out. You were there, bro. And
I
he
can't
broke,
recall.
he broke down crying because me and you both went up there to speak to the church. You talked about, I think, evangelism, and I talked more about trying to get people healed and stuff like that. He played the whole thing, dude. And he was crying right there in front of us. And we're all like praying with him, like, yeah, we got your back. We're all here to support you and whatever. Yeah, bro, you were
Yeah.
right there with me, homie.
So do you think he was trying to manipulate you with the tears, or?
Yes, because in the next second, this is what happened. I told him, like, I don't think I should be in this church anymore. This is 2018. I was like, bro, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to come to this church anymore. And he starts crying and he starts telling me, like, that's not the will of God. And I'm thinking, okay, this guy's still a prophet.
Wow.
He's still anointed. This dude did prophesy to me over the phone. He did prophesy certain things about me that were accurate. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking to myself, Lord, am I not hearing from you or stuff like this? Because I felt in my spirit for 5 years, up until that point, for 5 years, I kept saying to myself, whenever they had those New Year's Eve services, this is the last year I'm going to be here.
Sheesh.
I kept saying that to myself. I don't want to, after this year, if I don't see any change in this church, I'm leaving. That's what I kept saying to myself, But I still stayed, and I think the reason why I stayed was for two reasons. Number one, I didn't want to be labeled as a hater. And number two, I stayed because of my friends, which are both wrong reasons. Because you're not supposed to stay for people. You're supposed to stay because God, right? So anyways, so I tell him, like, dude, I don't even want to be here no more. And he keeps telling me that's not the will of God. He starts crying, he starts telling me, like, he starts apologizing and all this other junk. I said, I'm still not going to, I don't want to be here. So I left and I told his wife. And then this is what really got to me, because his wife was, she was a sweet lady. You know what I'm saying? Everybody preferred to talk to her than him. So, or mainly you. Mainly everybody would talk to you. So she comes up to me and she's like, well, you're like my black son. You're like my son. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to leave. I would be hurt if you left and all this other junk like this. So I'm like, nah. And I just thought about it. So I think I called you and I told you that I was leaving. And then you had told me something like, if you leave, okay, that's cool. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? You kind of brushed me off, bro. You didn't think you did, but you kind of did.
Sorry.
You know what I'm saying? So you were like kind of pushing
Love
me
you,
to
bro.
the side, dog. So I'm like, damn, not even Mike want to talk to me no more after this. So
I mean, so it was hard to leave because
yeah, it was hard to leave because the relationships you
Yeah,
built
yeah.
with people, man. You know what I'm saying? So for a whole week, I didn't even come to church. I didn't even show up at no week services, none of that stuff, because I wanted to see how people would react if I left. You know what I'm saying? And I think one person called me. I think it was like Marlene or somebody like that, or Chris Lund or whatever. And they will reach out to me and say, hey, where you been? And da da da. No, are you okay? Stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, but I was expecting your call. You know what I'm saying? But you never did. So I was upset. I was like, I felt some type of way. I was like, damn, you're supposed to be my best friend, dog. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, dog, this nigga didn't even call me. So I came back, but I begrudgingly came back. And at the same time I was coming back, this man was leaving.
Okay.
So
okay.
the night that me and him were about to get into a fight, either that night or the week after, you and your wife came and said that you weren't going to go to that church anymore, right? And he tried to play me because I went to the office and came back and we talked face to face, him and I. And he told me that in the meeting that, he had with you, he said that, he just made up stuff about you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because he had already had it in for. He's like, why is he would always tell me all the time, Eric keeps trying to police me and all this other stuff
Yes,
like
he
this.
told me the same thing,
I'm like,
bro.
what? He was just trying to,
Yes.
be at a healthy church. You know what I'm
told
saying?
me that all the time.
So he would say that, he was making all these stupid lies about you and stuff like this. And I remember the day that you were leaving, me and you had a conversation, and you were telling me that, I asked you why you're leaving. You're like, well, there's a thing about loyalty that I have.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'll never forget what you said. You said, there's this thing about loyalty that I have. I said, well, you're talking about loyalty. And I started trying to explain to him how, he was loyal to all of us and other stuff like this. He said, yeah, he's like, well, I'm talking about a different type of loyalty. That's what he said, And I couldn't figure it out, but he didn't want to tell me everything, but he wanted to gracefully tell me that he was leaving. So when I approached David about the situation, he kept saying, well, Eric, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't already coming to the church because David, Eric wasn't coming for a minute. And I think it was because you were like battling with, whether to
Yeah, I
stay
think for
or,
the last 3 years
yeah,
that I was there, I was just always at odds with him.
yeah,
And I felt like, why do I need to be in a church where I need to police my pastor? Like
yeah,
that's not healthy
yeah,
for a person. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Um, yeah. So that's I was at odds for like 3 years. My heart wasn't in it.
yeah,
My relationship with God was suffering because it's like if you're at odds with the man of God. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there was this tension there, and it was hard for me to kind of separate those two relationships.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But what I had told you that day in the parking lot was I came to the realization that I was being, because I'm for being loyal. You
yeah,
get what I'm saying? But I realized that I was loyal to a fault.
yeah,
And I was like,
nowhere.
yo, like, I can't do that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm hurting other people by continuing to be loyal.
yeah. And shout out to Mark, man, because Mark would always tell me, like, bro, I think you're in a cult. You know what I'm saying? Because Mark had left years before, Well, he got kicked out. He got kicked out, you know what I'm saying? And he would tell me, because, like, even though the people that left, because they were like, oh, delete these people off Facebook. I never did that. So when Crazy Chris was talking about I deleted him and all, that never happened. You know what I'm saying? That never happened. People were commenting on, Let's Chop It Up or the Facebook post that I deleted them. There was the people I deleted were people I didn't even talk to. But the people that I was loyal to, I talked to, we had conversations with, I tried to disciple them. I thought they were cool. We had different conversations with. I never deleted anybody. You know what I'm saying? I never blocked those people. I blocked people that, that I didn't really have a relationship with at all. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so I come back, he tells me what he says about Eric, and I'm still there, but begrudgingly. I didn't want to be there at all. So it got to the point where Mark, he tells me, he's like, hey man, you haven't seen your niece and your nieces and your nephew in a long time. I'm gonna come through to your place and so they can see your crib and they can talk. I'm like, cool, man. So they came over, you know what I'm saying, because people used to kick it at my spot on Sundays after church, So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have some people over. We're gonna watch movies and eat pizza, whatever like this. Come through. So he came over and he starts talking to me. He starts telling me about the PTM and stuff like this. And I kept telling him because for the longest I was like, "No, it's ride or die." But then he started talking to me, and even at then I was just like, "Man, you know what? You're right. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to be at this church. I don't feel right at this church, bro." And then he tells me about this pastor who's also a prophet. You know what I'm saying? So this is like the end of 2018, so around October, November type. So we were going to San Antonio, you, myself, and Angel. We were going to San Antonio for this conference. And before then, I went to go meet with this pastor, okay? I sat down with him, I talked to him, and not even 5 minutes, I couldn't even get comfortable in this seat. This dude started prophesying my whole life, like crazy. And I never felt that way in so long. Because the prophecy, because when prophecy hits you, sometimes it just takes you for like a loop, man. It's like, dang, dog, you know what I'm saying? But it got to the point at PTM, every time I heard a prophecy, it would go through one ear and out the other. I wouldn't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that I didn't care.
Well, you were
but
fed
it
up.
wasn't.
You were fed up.
I don't want to say I was fed up at that point, but like, I want to say I got jaded. You know what I'm saying? Like, my heart got hardened towards the words that God was speaking to me. In a sense, it just became religious. I became very religious. So anyway, so when this man prayed for me, I had never felt that way in so long. This dude started prophesying to me, telling me about the girls that that I was interested in back then and how they were beneath me and all this other stuff like this. And he started telling me like, all these things. He was just confessing, just started praying for me, and I just broke down in tears, bro. And I never felt that way before. And it's just like Mark has said. So I told him, like, man, I'm at odds with this church. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. So he's just like, well, I'm not going to tell you to leave. But he's like, what I'm going to tell you is this. I'm going to pray and I'm going to ask the Holy Spirit, we're going to fast. I'm going to ask the Holy Spirit how long we're supposed to fast. This man didn't have to do that. He just met me. But he's like, man, because you're a brother, I'm gonna fast with you. I think also part of the reason because we're both Nigerians, and he's a great guy. You know what I'm saying?
How do you say it? How do you say it?
Pastor Obasa, right?
Yes.
So, so he was like, let's pray, and and we're gonna ask the Holy Spirit how long we're supposed to fast. So I said, cool. A couple of days later, he texts me and says, well, the Holy Spirit says let's fast 7 days. I said, cool. So I fasted that whole time. He says, but make sure you come back on the 7th day because we're going to do spiritual warfare, okay? And we're going to start casting out demons and stuff like that. I said, cool. So I went there on the 7th day. We started doing spiritual warfare. After that, he prayed for me. You know how some people take the oil and they rub it on their hands, they lay hands on you? This dude, he took the oil and poured it all over my head. And I kid you not, when he did that, I feel like I just got saved.
Wow.
I felt like I just got saved all over again. Like as if I had transitioned from a place of death into life now. Like my eyes were like open again. You know what I'm saying? I had never felt that way. I didn't feel that way. I never felt that way since I had got baptized. You know what I'm saying? I felt completely different when we crossed over from death to life. But when this dude prayed for me, it was like, oh God. You know what I'm saying? So after that, he told me, I asked him, so should I stay at this church? And he goes, well, I'm not going to tell you yes or no. I'm going to ask the Holy Spirit to speak to you because I know you hear from the Holy Spirit. And he's going to tell you, you know what I'm saying? He's going to show you what's going to happen, So I'm like, all right, cool. So months later, we have a meeting. Dave is now leading the meeting, right? And he's saying, SP is going to be our new secretary.
I remember
The week he said that, we never saw her again.
Yeah.
What we didn't know was her episode. Go watch it. You know what I'm saying? All the things that were going on in her marriage, all the things that he was stalking this lady. What kind of married man is outside of another woman's house at 1 a.m. in the morning? For what reason? You know what I'm saying? Why are you going into a married woman's house, you know what I'm saying, to wait for her to come to church? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. Why are you telling a married man that, you should move away from his wife? That doesn't make any sense. So she stopped coming to church, and people were wondering why. What happened to SB? You know what I'm saying? So that was around, I want to say, December. In February, that prophetic word that Obasa gave, it came to life. We were supposed to have a meeting on Thursday. David was supposed to lead it. You sent a message to us and said, David is not going to be there. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to lead the meeting. Come on Thursday, okay? So we went to the meeting, went to the church on Thursday. We had the meeting. After the meeting, Dedrin approaches you. He says, man, I need to talk to you. Y'all have your little meeting in the conference room. I leave. I go to Walmart because I love Walmart, right? And this is back when it was open 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just go to Walmart at 2 a.m. and just feel at home. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Walmart.
You know what I'm saying? So, it's just a place of peace. You know what I'm saying? It's a place of peace. So, anyway, I even try to get my fiance, let's get married at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? So,
sick.
I love Walmart.
She almost spilled her
You know what I'm
water.
What kind of Walmart stuff is that?
I don't know, man. Just feel peace at Walmart, baby. So there's a smile on every aisle. Just don't go there after 10 o'clock because the lines will get extremely long. You'll never get home. So if you want to test your patience, go to Walmart. All right, so I'm leaving Walmart, and then you call me on the phone, Mike. You call me on the phone, and I'm like, you go, hey, man, I need to come over to your place. I need to talk to you. I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm probably in trouble, man. What the hell did I do now? You know what I'm saying? So you're like, yeah, man, I just need to talk to you. It's important. I said, cool. So I get in my car and I pimp off and I go to my place and I'm thinking to myself, what the heck could this guy be talking to me about? So you sat down at my table. I had never seen you like this before in my life, bro. I had never seen you so disheartened. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting across from you like I am right now. And I'm like, what's the problem? You're like, and I say, what did I do? You're like, you didn't do nothing. And you're like, he did it again, bro. I'm like, who did what again? He's like, David. And I was like, oh, dang. He's like, yeah, he messed around with another girl. And I was thinking to myself, I think I said it. I was like, yeah, we just pick up the church like we always do. And you're like, nah, man, I'm not going to stay here no more.
Sheesh.
And I'm like, whoa. if Mike says he's leaving, something really bad happened, right? You know what I'm saying? So he's like, yeah, man, he did it again. So, and you're like, I'm not gonna put my family through this again. I've put my family through enough. I said the next time, I said in my heart, if the next time this happens, I'm taking my family out of here, right? And he told me what happened, that he was messaging Ashley, who I spoke about earlier, that was already at odds because she got back with her ex, she didn't listen, and she started falling off a little bit. So I'm assuming that she went to this man for help, and he tried to pick up the pieces and try to, not pick up the pieces, but take advantage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Of that lane to see how deep he could get in order for her to fall into a deeper type of sin.
Yeah.
So when you said that to me, I was just like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know what to say. I was speechless. I'm like, what's going to happen to the church? What's going to happen? Yada, yada, yada. And it got to the point where, this man was so distraught, man. I had to, we drove to his house, you know what I'm saying? Because of how he was feeling, and I ended up sleeping over here, you know what I mean? Because he was just so stressed out. So that was on a Thursday. The following day, we met with one of his mentors, David Carter, at a restaurant. And then David Carter started telling him, he started telling Carter about what was going down. And Carter's like, well, a pastor's not supposed to be acting this way. A pastor's not supposed to be handling the money and all this other stuff like this. And then Mike's like, he didn't even dive into the money yet. You know what I'm saying? We didn't get to that money part. You know what I'm saying? But we're just talking about what he was doing with these girls. So we found out about all the crap about money, and I'm pretty sure there's more later. But anyway, so that was on that Friday. He prayed for us. We left the restaurant. That Sunday, I get to church a little late, right? Because I have the Spanish service. And I get there a little late. And then I go up to David, who's already waiting outside. He's waiting outside, and I said, what are you doing outside? And he doesn't know that I know what happened.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that I know. And he says, I'm outside doing security. And I knew he was just waiting for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean you need to do security? Mauricio,
Like outside of the church and
outside
stuff?
of the church. But I knew he was waiting for Mike. He told me he was doing security. He didn't need to do security. Mauricio was at the Spanish service. He could have did security. So he's like waiting for Mike. I knew he was. And then he's just like telling me like, yeah, man, I don't know what we're going to do about this building. No, he asked me, he goes, so Steven, how you doing? And he says, man, I'm confused. And then he says, well, I mean, then he goes like, yeah, man, we got to take care of this building. So if a person, let me ask you a question. If a person, you ask how they're doing and they say they're confused, what's your next question?
Why are you confused?
About what? You know what I'm saying? He doesn't even care. He doesn't care I'm confused because he doesn't know that I know. So he's telling me that, we got to take care of this building. I'm going to need your help, Steven, to lift everybody's spirits up and, to help everybody know that we need to, take care of this building and save it from being closed in on because another church wants to buy the building, which was the narrative that was painted throughout 2018. So, Mike, you get there, and then he pulls you to the side, and I know he's talking to you about the building. You know what I'm saying? So then he walks back inside the church, and then I ask you, man, what's he talking about? And he's like, oh, man, he's just talking about the building, how to save the building, all this other stuff like this. And then that's when you told him, like, hey, I'm not going to leave. He said, you said you're leaving until, what would you say that until you find out if what he's saying is true or fake or,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
There's
saying?
people that were coming forth, and we needed the evidence part, but that's
Yeah.
when Ashley she had spoken to us, man, which I shared in SB's episode, everything he told her. So.
And you were like outside and you're saying like, these I found out the stuff to be true, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So that service was the most eerie service we had ever had, ever. You know what I'm saying? And nobody was paying attention because the truth was starting to spread like freaking, you know what I'm saying, like a virus. You know what I'm saying? And then like after the service,
So
myself,
who was preaching that day?
Carol was preaching a dead message as she'd been preaching for years.
So she already knew
Of course,
the
she knew.
mess that David was doing.
She's been knowing since day one, but she didn't do nothing about it.
So she tried to kind of continue as if Everything was good.
That's the problem with her. She loved her image so much. She did not want to. She did not want to blemish her squeaky clean record. She didn't want to make it seem like something was wrong in her home. When
So
we
everybody
obviously knew.
knows that there's something wrong,
Everybody does.
but she continues on with her preaching.
Yeah. Continues
And
on
it's
with
just
the preaching.
weird. The vibe is just weird.
Absolutely.
She
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's crazy, crazy tension in there.
Yeah. And then after the service,
So was there like ministry after, or was
I don't even remember
yeah,
at
bro.
all.
I just know there was so much tension
You
in
could
there.
tell
It felt crazy,
you,
bro.
You could tell that the ship was coming down.
Yeah.
wow?
So I go to the kids' room and the lights were off. I turned it on and Dedrin's sitting in the dark, and I'm like, what the heck are you doing in here? And he's just like so, distressed, just stressed out about what's going on. And I told him, man, me too. He said, I had been thinking for the past 5 years that, man, I should leave, but I didn't know if that was the enemy speaking to me or if that was God or whatever. And he's just like, man, that happened to you too? Why didn't you tell me, man? I've been thinking about leaving too. Why didn't you tell me that a long time ago? You know what I'm saying? And so we had that conversation like, dog, man, you know what I'm saying? God had been trying to speak to us to run, but we didn't listen.
Yeah.
So
Why do you think it took so long for you to finally say like I can't do this no more? Like what had a hold of you?
honestly, after doing like all this research, it's called Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome is when you make peace with the people that basically capture you or kidnap you or abuse you, and you start to become like, friends, or, you start to see some kind of affection towards them, as, because, and, that's just the clinical side of it. But it was
Yeah.
also called deception. The spiritual term is deception, you know what I'm saying? And demonism, and again, being loyal, like you said, to a fault.
Stockholm Syndrome. I had that too then, bro.
Yeah.
You too, Eric.
Yeah. So even with even after that, the side effects of Stockholm syndrome is like you have flashbacks, you have traumatic thinking, all that stuff like this. So when I started doing research, like, oh, we were under that Stockholm syndrome. You know what I'm saying? We didn't realize it, that we were being held captive. So anyways, we left. We go to your house. Me, you, Chris Long. We had a meeting. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we were just praying. We were
Yes.
praying for people. You know what I'm saying? No, wait a minute. Before that. Hold on. I was leaving the church, okay? And they had these prayer things that we're supposed to do for the awakening, prayer, not the awakening, the encounters is what they called it. And one of the sisters comes up to me, Vanessa Donis, and goes, Stephen, your group is supposed to pray on this day. I'm like, sister, I don't even think I'm going to be here no more. And she goes, again? I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be here no more. So she comes and she gets upset, and I know she goes and she tells David what I just told her, that I don't even want to be, I don't even know if I'm going to be at this church anymore. So we left, we go to your house, a whole bunch of us came over here. But it wasn't to gossip about the church. It was to pray for the church. So we get in the room, we go to your office, we're praying in the church. We're praying for the church. It was me, you, Chrislon, Dedrin, and we were praying for the church, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And we had grown men in tears.
Yeah. Sincerely praying.
Sincerely praying for the pastors, everybody that's involved, the church, everything. We're just praying, dog. And I think Carol messaged you and said that she knows what's going on, or was it Octavio or something like that?
Yeah, because then we met with Octavio, I think, after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
with Espy.
Yeah.
We met there.
So,
So at this point, did you guys think that PTM was going to continue, or you guys were considering leaving PTM?
Yeah, so we were like praying, dude, because I knew that Octavio was going to go confront David. So we're like, oh, man, is she going to? Because okay, let me back up. So she would tell us, bro, like Carol would tell us, man, he does this to me again, I'm going to leave him. I'm going to divorce him. Yeah. So, of course, we believe her. So we're like, oh, man, all this is coming to light now. So, dude, I really believe they were like I looked up to them like my spiritual mom and dad, So it's like, dude, of course I'm going to be broken if anybody gets a divorce, if everybody, if anybody's ever been through that, it's heartbreaking, So I'm like, man, she's going to leave him now, bro. So I'm telling Steven, Chris Law, and Dejan, I'm like, man, what are we going to do? Like, let's really pray. And that's when we were in my house praying and just crying out to God, like sincerely, like grown men,
Yeah.
really crying on their knees, like out to God. And it was just, twisted. So,
So you guys were praying for the church.
yeah, for their marriage, man. Because Octavio was going to go confront Carol, to let her know, hey, this is what they found and stuff. And we're thinking the worst, like, okay, well, she said if he does it again, she's going to leave him. So we're
Yeah.
like, so in my mind, I'm thinking, like, dude, if she leaves him, then yeah, maybe I will go help her, because she was innocent, bro. She really did live a holy life. You know what I'm saying? So I just think the church would have been way different. And I tell people on my side of the story, dude, if she would have really left him and divorced him, dude, I would have rallied behind that lady, 100%, to help pick up the church, because I do believe that, she was like, he really hurt her, but I just feel like she kept telling us she's going to leave him. And then she just somehow, some way ends up just staying with him over and over again. And that's when I was like, man, I just can't take it no more.
It's
And
the
ready
image,
to get
man.
out of here.
It's the image, man.
So
I mean, because she always talked about, like, there's never been no divorce in my family, and she was like
yeah.
big on that.
Very strict on that. Yes.
Yeah, I just feel bad for her, their daughter, man, because their daughter was an anointed little girl, man. She
Yeah.
was preaching on Sunday services at 10 years old, man. So
Yeah.
I just feel bad that her their daughter has to like
I'm
go
sure
through
that.
life knowing that this is who her father really is. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, I mean, for her to see, like, cause she's a little older, for her to see, like, yo, my father, basically is a church pimp. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a nice way of putting it, but go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like that. How I wonder sometimes, like, what is going to be her view of God? What's going to be her view of the church?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I believe that there's some trauma that she's going to need to process in her life. You know what I'm saying? And it's very sad.
Yeah.
And I want to say this too. I don't know if you want to, any of y'all want to chime in on this. Sorry, bro. I just want to say this.
go
Like,
ahead.
man, I don't believe that for a woman to go through that, for the sake of the family, for the sake of my child. Like, I disagree with that, man. Like, I really believe that a woman that has been hurt to that extreme, and be cheated on that consistently,
Yeah.
like,
I
dude,
mean, he
you
definitely
can make
he
it
broke
on
his
your
vows.
own. Like, you can really leave, from underneath that and make it, But I feel like that whole, culture, I don't know if it was the Hispanic culture in her like that. You have to stay,
Gotta write it
regardless.
out.
Yeah, write it out. It's gonna get better. You have your kid, do it for them. Like, it just, dude, I just think she took too much abuse like
Well,
that, man.
I mean, there was layers.
Wait,
I think there
wait,
was
wait.
layers of abuse.
Not just that, but
with
listen,
Carol.
according to what your mom had told me, she had spoken to Carol's mother and Carol. And Carol asked her mom, should she divorce David? And her mom said no. Okay? So if you don't think your mom's a reliable resource, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? So that's what and I also think, agreeing with what you said, but she was so like unwilling to step down.
Who, Carol?
Yeah, she. How can you minister even though everything at your house is not right? Even the Bible doesn't condone that. You know what I'm saying? The Bible doesn't even. If you can't take care of your own house, how can you take care of the house of the Lord? You know what I'm saying? So, anyways,
I think all of that has to do with, like, a lack of church government. You get what I'm saying? Because
he had no accountability.
because years ahead, if there would have been a church government, they would have been able to see from the outside looking in.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
would have seen the how unhealthy the church was. You get what I'm saying? But because there was no government, I feel like she kind of had to, like, fight. She probably felt like she had to fight and not give up. But really, she needed to slow down and take a break, and because it was just she was running on fumes.
And I think, man, it's sad that I feel like you hold on to that too much instead of like trying to, like, dude, it's not your church.
Yeah.
It's the Lord's.
Yeah.
And if it shuts down without you there, maybe you were never called to begin with. Like, if you leave and it excels, well, that's what Jesus said. It's better if I go. And his message is still around 2,000 plus years later.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a big test that I think a lot of pastors, I think, aren't willing to do. is to relinquish things and delegate things to trust another generation.
Exactly.
You know, they just kind of hold on to it with everything they got, even if they're broken, wounded, husband's cheating, and everything's falling apart.
Yeah.
It's like I just got to keep championing this, and that's why there was no spirit, no life, no ministry
Yeah,
given at these last years, because she's just a broken woman, man.
Yeah.
Wounded woman, you know. So
So you guys were praying at Mike's house.
Yeah, I think she wanted to say something.
I was gonna say, like, she was probably thinking, if I don't do it, if I'm not there, like, it's not gonna get done right. And then as well, like, she
She
was
couldn't
always,
trust nobody.
yeah, and she was always sick, always sick, like,
yeah, she
all the
suffered a
I mean,
lot
time.
with
I
the-
think
with
all of that got
depression.
to her.
Yeah,
It
because
affects
it's
the health.
so much. You're dealing with your husband. You're dealing with all of these allegations, all these women coming forth. Then you're dealing with the lives of people.
Yeah.
They're telling you all their sin,
She's not working.
and
too.
then she, you know, what do you
It's
do
another one.
with
No,
all
you
of that?
You
You know,
see the messages, you see a video. I mean, this is your husband talking to. I mean, it's heavy, bro.
Yeah.
Heavy.
So we pray, and then I didn't know this until after we left, but after we left service, and I'm pretty sure Vanessa told what I'm saying, David, what we were talking, what I said. He met with certain individuals, you know what I'm saying, Mauricio included, because I remember we were gonna take him out for his birthday the Sunday after.
Yes.
And he was just like he didn't want to go with you. And this is a guy this was my very first disciple.
Yeah.
I preached to this dude for hours. You know what I'm saying? Ministered to him for days. You also did the same thing. We always helped this man when it came to whatever he needed. Whenever he would ask, rides, clothes, whatever the case may be, food. Yeah. We would always help this dude because that's what you do. You're a brother. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, he became a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But, he meets with him and coerces and just distorts his mind and his view about us. You know what I'm saying? That we were going to separate the church. So after we finished praying that Sunday, the next Sunday is when you asked him, can we go and take you out for your birthday? David was not at that service. We thought that was going to be the service where they were going to announce that David was no longer going to be a part of the ministry or that he was going to sit down completely, whatever the case may be. Because of what Octavio said, he was going to confront David. He's the overseer. They're related. You know what I'm saying? They're related. But yeah, he's the overseer, right? So anyway, we thought that was going to be the day Octavio came up in there, got up on stage and said this was happening in the church. And, everybody's going to go and leave, go, or whatever the case may be. Octavio didn't show up. It was another boring, long, drawn service, right? And
All y'all were there?
Yeah.
So you guys were praying one day, and then you guys go back to the Sunday service.
No, after we finished praying, what happened was after the service, we prayed, and then we went to hang out at what's the name of that place? Dave and Buster's. Everybody in church was there. You know what I'm saying? And then I remember talking to Jose, and he just comes to me and goes, "Yeah, man, I already knew what was going on. I've been knowing." You know what I'm saying? I've been knowing. You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't you tell nobody, bro? So anyway, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, "Yeah, man, I've been knowing. He's over there shooting pool, having a good time." So thanks, bro.
not phased, not phased
Thank
at
you.
all.
I mean, a lot of people
Jose.
knew what was going on.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we were all confused, man. So that was that Sunday. Then after the next week, that's when we had another dead service. And, Pastor Mike went to go ask, Mauricio to hang out and stuff like this. And he was just had like a bad attitude or whatever like this. But anyway, so we were supposed to have service that Wednesday. And one of my jobs was to go turn on, the AC, because the way the building was constructed, the AC was really jacked up. So I always had to turn the AC on like hours before, so it can
There's
get
a lot of jacked up things in that building. Sorry.
so anyways, I call you, and then I get to the church and I call Pastor Mike and I'm like, "Dog, why does it seem like everybody's packed up and moving?" Because there was chairs being stacked and everything looked like it was about to leave. And I call you on the phone. I was like, "Dude, what the heck is going on?" And he's just like, "Oh, bro, I wasn't gonna tell you this."
Who'd you call?
Pastor Mike. And he's just like, "Bro."
Eric.
Because up until that point, he was telling us like he doesn't know, he doesn't have made his decision if he was gonna stay or not. So I'm like, dang. So, and I was still on the fence, So he tells me, he's like, yeah, bro, I made the decision on Monday. I'm gonna make.
I mean, I don't know this story. You know what I'm saying?
he
So I'm
tells
like,
he tells me, yeah, bro, I made the decision on Monday, man. I ain't coming back. I said, what? How come you didn't tell me, bro? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, he's like, yeah, man, I made a decision with my wife. We prayed, and we're good. We're not gonna come back to PTM no more. So I'm like, dang, what the heck am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just sitting there praying, asking God, for wisdom. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna come meet at your house because I wanted to talk to you about the whole situation. So I came to your house, you know, and we had a.
Hold on. Before you get into my house, talk about the meeting at the church.
yeah, that's what I'm
This,
saying.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
okay,
get to
sorry.
that.
Okay,
But
sorry.
before that meeting at church, I actually went to your house, and we were talking about how your decision and everything like this, all the things that happened behind the scenes, what didn't take place, what should have taken place, and that's when we brought up, Chris, Haney. He was one of the big givers. You know what I'm saying in the church. He and his wife, and I think that I don't know if they sent a message that they want certain people to be there. I don't remember the case may be what the case is, but like you were like, yo, they're gonna try to get Chris to come along with them because they're tearing down the church, and they're gonna try to get Chris because he's a big giver. They're always gonna get the big givers.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Can I
saying?
tell that story really quick?
Sure, man. Hell yeah.
Okay, so watch this. I wish Chris was here, but he's not feeling well. But so I knew this was gonna happen. Okay, because obviously I know David, and when I left, I'm like, okay, he is pinpointing who he believes
Yeah.
is with them, and who's already supposedly with me. As if it's a gang.
Yeah.
And he feels like there's people that are still in the middle, and the person that was in the middle was Chris's wife, Jessica, because Carol was already kind of getting close to her. But Chris was already close to me. I'd known him for years already, since Stephen had won him to the Lord. So I think that's why David was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. They're kind of 50-50. They're kind of in between. So I think I can maybe get over on him. So I felt like, man, he's going to reach out to him because he's going to want to look for people for money. So I watched this, bro. This is crazy. So I called Chris, okay? And when I called him, I said, right when I'm talking to him about it, his phone rings and it's David. I kid you not, bro. God is my witness. Okay, God is my witness. And Chris, I wish you were here. You'll testify for me. Testify in the comment section, brother. And he literally, when I'm saying, bro, this is what's gonna happen. He's gonna call you. He's probably gonna try to, because Chris was like, man, Mike, so you're leaving, man. I'm confused. Do I stay? What do I do? And I said, bro, it's gonna be up to you and your family. You're the head of the home. You do what you feel is right. I said, but this is what's gonna happen. Okay, and he's gonna reach out. And right when I finished those words, his phone rings. He's like, Mike, hold on, somebody's calling me. And it was David. And I said, dude, all right, I'm gonna hang up. He's like, no, you stay on the phone. I'm gonna mute it. So he merged the line. So David didn't know I was on the phone. Listening to the conversation, that's going on. And dude, and he starts off so slick, so everybody's like, oh, did he bash you, Mike? He's not gonna bash me, because he knows Chris is friends with me.
Yeah.
So he speaks all, nice to him and telling him, like, because Chris is like, hey, Pastor, well, I'm confused. Like, what's going on, with the building? It looks like we're going to empty out stuff. I mean, my wife and I are confused. What are we going to do? He's like, yeah.
So people were coming into the church, and it was kind of
No.
Yeah.
This is the phone conversation. This is the phone
Before?
conversation. Yeah, after he told me he was leaving, I went straight to his house to figure out what the heck was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Then he called Chris and David called him, and then they merged it with three-way, and we're listening to the conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he's telling Chris, Chris is confused. He's like, all this I'm hearing from this person, that person.
Okay.
He's hearing a lot of stories, bro.
Okay.
So he's like, I'm hearing this. He's like, well, yeah, just make sure, you stay with my wife. If you stay with my wife, everything's gonna work out. And then, bro, I'm telling you, this was his exact words, dude. And then he's like, yeah, and I know I'm not supposed to tell you this, but you really are one of the biggest givers in the church.
Wow.
So he drops it, boom. And I promise you, the moment that he did that, Chris remembered exactly what I said. And so he's like, so then, they finish the conversation and he's like, well, I'm going to see Chris, like what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray about it, whatever, and then David hangs up. Chris merges me back on the line. They're like, Mike, wherever you're going to go, I'm going to go. That's what Chris ends up telling me because I knew that's what he was going to do because he didn't care about people. He cares about money.
Yeah.
He cares about money, not about people. So
So after Mike and I have that conversation, I go to that Wednesday service. Okay, when I go to that Wednesday service, very different atmosphere. Nobody's happy to be there. It was very dark, very gloomy. It looked like it was at a funeral, right?
So you weren't there.
No, I had already left.
I was there.
Yeah, she was there.
Okay.
So this is what happened. So they called us into the room.
So did you guys have a service?
We didn't have no service.
Okay.
Where the chairs were gone.
Yeah, we had no service. This was the funeral. So we go inside the room with the big table, and then Carol gives this really unnecessary, stupid, very stupid message about staying together and never addressing what the heck was going on. She never addressed what David was doing. She never addressed anything about the comments or the things that was going behind closed
Elephant
doors.
in the room.
She never. Octavio was. I thought Octavio was going to show up. You know what I'm saying? I thought homie was going to show up. Didn't even show up. You know what I'm saying? So we thought that everything was going to get addressed that Wednesday. She gives this long, drawn out, boring, unnecessary, foolish, incoherent message. You know what I'm saying? Talking about we're going to stick together. No.
So did anybody say
So-
like, yo, like what's going on?
Everybody was asking that question. I knew what was going on, but then again, I don't think people were asking that question because people kind of already knew. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But we didn't, people knew, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we just didn't know when are they going to tell us the truth, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so after the meeting, she goes, oh, I'd really like to speak with, first I want to talk to Chris. She want to talk to Chris first.
The giver.
to Chris.
The big giver.
I would really like to talk to Chris and his wife. And I would really like to talk to, after them, I would like to talk to Steven. And then after that, I want to talk to Dedrin and Chrislon. And then after that, I want to talk to Maria. I want to talk to Ashley. I want to talk to Crystal. You know what I'm saying? So, cool.
That's so
She-
weird.
yeah.
Like
She wants to talk.
He laced her up, bro, before
Yeah.
the meeting.
He
man. Tell him.
prepared her for what was, for this whole, he prepped her. Because when she spoke, it was just like he was speaking through her. Okay? So anyways, she goes to speak to Chris first, and I'm waiting in the room. I'm waiting my turn. And I start praying. And then the Holy Spirit speaks to me and says, I want you to record this meeting. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to record, you know what I'm saying? Because I know they like to control the narrative.
right.
So I get into, it's my time to go, you know,
Do you still have the recording?
hell yes. Hell
drop
yes.
it?
We should drop it.
Yeah, drop
We
it.
should drop it.
Do it.
Yo.
Think I'm crazy?
Okay,
Got
so
the evidence. And the Nigerian, I have it too. You see my phone. I have it, yeah. So anyway, so right. So check it. So I go inside the meeting room, you know, and you know she's sitting right here, and then Mauricio, man, this dude was so far gone. And I know about Mauricio, you know what I'm saying? He's a good guy, you know what I'm saying? It's just that they just manipulated this dude so much, you know. He's a good. I don't think nothing negative about Mauricio, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't blame him. I think he's a good guy. You know, he's just confused right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what he's doing with his life, but I pray for him.
so he was sitting in like as a witness.
As a witness. So she's over here talking to me, talking about how, you know what I'm saying, she doesn't appreciate the fact that I'm trying to split up the church. I said, what are you talking about? And every time I tried to talk, she kept trying to, you know, cut me off. And then she kept saying I was yelling at her. I wasn't yelling at her. They didn't know I have recording right now, right? So, you know what I'm saying? I'm just chilling, right? And I was just trying to explain to her what 1 Timothy chapter 3 says when it talks about, you know, being above reproach and, you know, just being faithful to your spouse and all these things that David was not actually doing. You know what I'm saying? He was already disqualified from ministry years before that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but they just kept, you know, holding up. He's going to come back. He's going to come back. And I still to this day believe that he can be restored as a Christian. I don't know about no pastor, bro. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we're going to get to that. So then, after that, you know, she kept talking about, you know, how she kept trying to throw the things that were confidential about the things that I was struggling with and tried to minimize the darkness that her husband was in. You see what I'm saying?
So you were saying like, oh, this is happening with your husband,
Yeah,
and then
she,
she's
he
like,
goes,
but
well,
this,
what about when
what
you
about
do
you?
this? And what about when you do this? And all this other stuff like this, which I know I can sue them for because they're telling confidential information to another person. And I have the evidence, so I can still sue them. But anyway,
Do it.
so because you're a pastor, you're not supposed to tell confidential information to, say other people like that. Anyways, so she's telling me all these things and all that, and I'm just like, listening. And then she tells me, and I quote, "If that's how you feel, then maybe you should just leave." I said, "Damn, after 11 years of serving you guys, that's the thanks I get? Peace." So I took the key that I had, put it on the table, slid it to her. I'm out. I said goodbye to people, and I just rolled out. When I left,
How'd you feel though? How'd you
Huh?
feel like walking out?
honestly, I felt really good about it. And there's just a disclaimer. Sorry, the people are gonna watch this. I actually put gum on one of the sisters' cars that was. I was a bum. I need to repent. So anyway, you know,
Like
so
on the windshield or?
yes, sir.
They're gonna be like, "That was you."
I don't care what the hell they gonna do anyway. So, so anyway, so I left, man, and I'm driving, man. I was like, man, I called Mike, so I'm gonna come over there and talk to you, man. So I drove and I told him what happened at the meeting. He was like, yeah, tell me what happened. Mike gets, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened. so I told him what happened, dog, at the meeting. You know what I'm saying? I said, dog, the first nigga they called to the stand was Chris and his wife. You know what I'm saying? So, and even, you know what, man? Man, you know that Dedrin and Chrislon took like a $5,000 loan out just to help these people, man?
Yeah.
And they still, I don't know if they still paying for it. I don't know what the case is.
I think Dedrin said he
I
paid
apologize
his
for that
off.
too.
Man,
Yeah.
I was just
I
like,
was
bro,
behind that.
they abused that brother, man.
Yes,
And
bro.
that dude was like, man, that dude is a gift from God as far as like as a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As a friend, as a man of God, as a worship leader, all that type of stuff. Chris Long too, when it comes to like arts and stuff like that. And and I'm mentioning them because there's a lot of my friends that I know the potential that they have. You know what I'm saying? But because they were so wounded by this, they haven't actually reached the potential that I know they're capable of. You know what I'm saying? Because of the spiritual abuse. So, anyways, I go to Pastor Mike's house. I tell him what happened at the meeting. As I'm driving there, man, I feel free. You know what I'm saying? I felt free. I feel like my eyes are open. And I called my boy Mark, and he was happy. Who in the hell? Everybody that I told them I left PTM, they're like, "Oh man, you're finally out." Like I just got out of jail or something. Like, dog, what happened, man? I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Was it that bad, baby? You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So everybody's like all excited, like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? You left, dog. And everybody was just like, bro. And this is what really hurt me, man. This is what really hurt me. I've been knowing Mark since ninth grade. Since we were like 15 years old. He told me, "I'm glad I got my friend back." I said, "Damn, bro, was it that bad?" And he's just like, "Yeah, man. It's like you were there, but you weren't there." You know what I'm saying? So I love that, man. He's the one that got me to Christ, man. So shout out to Mark,
Amen.
So, so he, that I really felt bad, man. I really felt bad because I kind of like scolded this man in a sense. I wasn't like really there for him the way he needed me to be because that was my boy. You know what I'm saying? But I was so caught up in this even Eric, you know what I'm saying? I was just so caught up in this PTM nonsense that, and I thought I was doing the Lord's work. And don't get me wrong, I know I do. I know I don't regret pouring into people. I don't regret being there for them discipleship, but I do regret excoriating people out of my life who didn't necessarily need to be excoriated. You know what I'm saying? So, and those are dear friends, and they were thinking things about me, talking about, I knew what was going on. I didn't have any idea. I only knew what they told us. You know what I'm saying? I only knew the things they told us. So a lot of people had this bad taste in my mouth. So I had to talk to certain people, and there's probably still a long list of people I probably need to still talk to, but they probably don't want to talk to me anyways, but they're probably going to watch this and see that I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know all this stuff was going on. You know what I'm saying? I really felt bad for all the people, man. We had so many gifts in that church, man. Yeah. So many people that were awesome, who had the potential to be just huge in the body of Christ, whether it was preaching, singing, acting, rapping, whatever the case may be. This dude had all of this, and he just destroyed it because he just wanted to bust one. You see what I'm saying? So that really like it was just like finally seeing that it was just so bad, and I just felt like dog, man, and I hated ministry for it. I despised it. I detested it. When you told me that you were going to start your church, I didn't even want a part of it. I was thinking to myself, I know Mike, he's going to want to start his own church. I know it. But my spirit was telling me, yeah, you need to go with Mike. But my heart was so far gone for ministry, like I didn't even want to do nothing no more, in a sense, And it's sad because I just kept every church I went to, everybody's like, "Hey man of God, hey man of God, hey man of God," you know what I'm saying? So, but before I get there, um, there was a time where you were trying to tell me to start going to these meetings on Tuesdays that you were having, and then like people were getting talked to and getting healed, and you were basically trying to build these people back up and restore them to the Lord. And I just like, man, I need to get away for a minute, you know. And then for like a very long time, I just stepped aside, and I didn't even want to be a part of church no more. I didn't hate those people. I didn't hate you. I didn't hate the people. I just needed to step away because for 11 years, man,
Yeah.
11 years, I had been so wrapped up in this, and that's not what real ministry is. The Bible says to take a Sabbath day off. We never had one of those. I don't even know what the hell that looked
Yeah, we
like.
didn't even know what it was.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm sinning against my whole paradigm, my whole focus has shifted. I was just like, man, I'm just gonna sit and chill. You know what I mean? So I would, church hop and stuff like this. And I remember I went to no, it wasn't high dimension. It was man, I can't remember. Remus Wright is the pastor there. Fountain of Praise. There you go. I went over there and they had this part of the service where, they pray for certain people, and whoever needs prophetic prayer, whatever like this. And they said, if you need it, stand up. So I'm cool. I stood up. So I'm just standing there, and this man comes up to me, you know, and he just says, "Man of God, God is not through with you yet." I'm like, God, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to run away from this like Jonah. Like I didn't want to have any parts of it. I hated ministry. People would come to my house, bro, to check up on me and see how I was doing, and also tell me their issues. And I'm like, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I gave him this generic, you know what I'm saying, encouragement, you know what I'm saying? But at the same, I just wanted to just leave me alone, you know what I'm saying? Because my mind was so I was just inside, I was just so pissed. You know what I'm saying? I was pissed about everything that went on because I felt like I had wasted my life. You know what I'm saying? I had lost so many opportunities, dude. I left the possibility of going to dental school because I believed the the vision of this pastor, that he was selling us. And I felt so pissed. There was even a sister who had a full ride scholarship to go on track, you know what I'm saying, for track full ride. And she gave up her scholarship to go to school for free and run track. She probably could have been an Olympian or something like this. And she gave that up only to get kicked out of the church.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just like I so pissed off about that situation. I was like, man, I don't even want to be around everybody. I need to change the scenery. So that's when I started going to different churches, and then eventually around the whole COVID time and everything like this, that's when everything happened with Ashley, and
So this
Crystal
is
got
like
the message, huh?
this is like 2019
This
or
is
20?
2020. This is 2020 now. Okay. And oh yeah, before I even get there, we went to Pastor Obasa after everything went down at PTM. And this is back in 2019. I forgot. This is very, very important. I went Pastor Obasa. We went to go tell him. I brought Mike with me to go meet him, and we told him exactly what happened. And this man's heart broke because he was just like, man, you know, he couldn't believe how this could happen. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, he told me and Mike, he said, when Stephen first came here in the spiritual realm, God showed me there's this dark cloud over this man, David's life. And God was showing me that this guy really loves money. You know what I'm saying? And then he also said, God is so loving and so merciful that he will remind you and convict you in private to change, okay, before he makes it public. He will always remind you in private before he doesn't want to do that, but he'll remind you in private. So, anyways, he prayed for me and Mike, and even he repented. You know what I'm saying? And we prayed, and then like he told Mike what he had to tell him and stuff like this. I think he was trying to get Mike to not do the ministry to just get time to healing, but Mike was like, "Nah, I'll get my healing, and after that, I'm going to start, you know what I'm saying, the ministry and stuff." So, anyways, I church hopped after that. I hated ministry. Long story short, during the COVID, here comes what happens to Ashley. You know what I'm saying? And that really broke my heart, you know, because that was my friend, bro. You know what I'm saying? That was my sister, dude. And the crazy thing is, that Sunday, you know, Crystal gets this text message, oh, Ashley's in the hospital. And I'm thinking to myself, well, she's going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? And I was kind of playing, well, should I even go? Should I go? So I ended up going, and everybody was there. And then when I saw her on that bed, everything just, I was like, it was just a surreal moment. She was just on the bed. She looked completely different. It was crazy. The ventilators were stuck to her body and everything like this. And it was just horrible, man. It's a horrible situation. Like, she wasn't talking. You know, her eyes were open. The tears were coming out. You know what I'm saying? When I saw her, I spoke. I said something, and I saw tears coming down her face. So,
So what happened? What happened to her?
okay. So I went to the lobby, right, to wait, and some guy comes up to me. His name is Ace. He comes up to me and he says, "Is your name Steven?" I said, "Yeah. Who are you?" He says, "Oh, Ashley talks about you all the time." I said, "Damn." He's like, "Yeah, Ashley used to talk about you all the time, man, about how you helped her in church and everything like this." So he goes, "Well, what happened was this. She couldn't find a place to stay. So he said, this is his story. He said that she needed a place to stay. He was going to allow her to stay at his place, but he didn't want his dad to know. So he's like, they waited in the car, and his dad was still awake, and they're like, forget it, we're going to blow off some steam, and we're just going to go to this bar really quick, and then until his dad fell asleep, and he could sneak her in the house." Apparently, she had already been doing drugs that day, according to this man's story. He said that she had already been doing drugs that day. She had this hydroxy cotton, whatever the crap was, some kind of, I forgot what it was. I forgot what the drug is. So according to him, he told me that he told her not to take it, and I don't really believe that that's the truth. You know what I'm saying? So he said that, yeah, I told her not to take it, but she took it anyway, and she took it, and she started spazzing out, and she fell asleep, right? And he kept trying to wake her up, and he would nudge her, and she was like, no, no, no. You know what I'm saying? She was kind of out of it. So he's like, well, she's done that before, so I'm not gonna, say anything. He kept trying. He said he did it another time, and she said it. And they finally get to the bar. He hits her and says, "Hey, wake up." And she kept saying she kept doing the same thing. And this guy didn't know she was dying. So he goes in the bar. He tells the security guard that, "Hey, there's this girl in my car. Can you watch and look out for her?" He goes in the bar. I don't know what time he came out. It was sometime early in the morning. He comes out. Somebody is screaming outside that she's dead, she's dead, she's dead. And then again, he panics. Well, this is why the story doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying, to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just didn't make sense to me, the way he explained it to me. So apparently he called, the ambulance, and they came over there, and they got her back to breathing. So then they actually took her to the hospital, and the hospital tried to do what they could. They put her on the ventilator to revive her and stuff like this. And it was even crazier then. It's like all of us were sitting in a circle. It was like you had the church friends, and you got her friends of the world who were, partiers and all this other stuff like this, whatever they did, her homies from the streets and everything like that. It was kind of like a spiritual battle, you know what I'm saying? And we were praying, and I'll never forget this. Her aunt came up there. She's like, I don't want my niece to suffer like this. And and I thought that this lady really had her best interest. I really did. I really did. Her stepdad comes and along with her brother and the sisters, okay? And he was telling you she's making some progress. You know what I'm saying? I think Marie and Marlene came up there on to the spot, some days after, we did the prayer for her and everything like this corporately. They came up there days after and they're saying, "Oh yeah, she's making some progress." You know, uh, so everybody's like, "Oh, she's about to start breathing on her own," and things were. I was like hearing these things, but every time I talked to her aunt, she kept saying like, "No, she's dying. They're lying to you. They're not hearing anything good. She's about to die. She's brain dead. All this other stuff like this." I'm like, "How are you not giving me this information? How are you not getting this information, bro? That every these things are good are happening." Her mom is actually in jail. Her mom signs over the rights to the daughter to the final decision of what to do with Ashley's body. I mean, what to do with Ashley, and gave the decision to the aunt, not the stepdad, who wanted to keep, fighting for her life.
Yeah.
So the aunt made the decision, just go ahead and pull the plug. Why? Why? And I didn't. What? So it didn't dawn on me until days later when she kept asking me about money because we did a GoFundMe. It's like to donate to Ashley, and she died and everything like this because she called me on the phone. She's like, "Yeah, Ashley's dead. We're gonna have the funeral this day," and I was just like heartbroken. And then she was like, "Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna. I'm gonna set up a GoFundMe so we can start helping out to pay people the proceeds and stuff." And she's like, "Okay." The day of your funeral, and even days before that, she kept asking me, "Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money?" That's all she cared about was the money. You know what I'm saying? And I remember I spoke to you about it. You're like, "Yeah, we're gonna take the money we collected from the church and the GoFundMe, and we're just gonna give it to her sisters." You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't know what this lady had her intentions are. I don't know, man. But all I know is this: if she was already starting to breathe on her own, why in the hell would you take her off a ventilator? You know what I'm saying? Why in the hell would you say, "Let's pull the plug"? Let's just say, why would you say pull the plug on her if she was fighting for her life? And that really pissed me off, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I felt another different type of way. And 2020 was already bad. You know what I'm saying? We had lost Kobe and all this stuff. Then we fought. Then I lose Ashley. And things didn't get better until I found my fiance. You know what I'm saying? And it's like God sent her in my life at the right time to nurse me back to who I'm supposed to be called to be. And I can't thank God enough for that. You know what I'm saying? Because like she was kind of like on the same road I was in a sense, but she had like a different experience from her church. So, but anyway, we're both in that stage of like church hopping. You know what I'm saying? And that's when we made the decision because she kept asking me like, "Dude, we need to figure out what church we're gonna go to." And I only knew one place, and the only person I trusted was you. You know what I'm saying? I had gone to a church previously before that, and it was absolutely dead. I'm talking about dead. I saw strong leaders leave that place. And I actually, I confronted the pastor. He probably still don't like me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he feels some type of way. But I confronted him and told him, like, "Bro, I don't think this church is an end time ready church." He's like, "What are you talking about, man? We baptizing people. We doing all this." You know what I'm saying? I'm like, "Bro, you got all these hats that you're wearing on your head, and I respect you for that. But you need to make these people disciples. You're not discipling them." There were people who come up to me to church and acting like, just asking me for prayer and wisdom and advice and stuff like this. And this is when I was trying to run away from ministry. So even they saw like the anointing in my life. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be, boastful or anything like this.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you can just tell like this dude has a call on his life. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's what they saw. I don't know. But people just kept coming up to me for that. But anyway, so I confronted the pastor, said like, "Dude, I don't think I need to be here no more." So I left. So anyways, that's when we made the decision, fast forwarding back to 2020. And then I was like, "Man, there's only one person I trust that can help me, and that was you." You know what I'm saying? Because you had always been there. I had thought about it, and I had talked to Mark about it. So if you think about it, because I had told Mark was like, he was at odds of staying at a particular church that he was at. And I was just like, And it's funny too because when people ask me what church to go to, I say, man, just go to Mike's. You know what I'm saying? Just go to Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't even tell them to go to church I was going to. I said, man, just go to Mike's church. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, why am I not taking my own advice? Because I remember telling Mark, like, bro, if you think about it, Mark was the one really pastoring us this whole time. Mike was the one who was always listening to our problems. Mike was the one who always prayed for us. Mike was the one who would always fast for us. He's the one that, always gives that advice. And I was thinking to myself, why am I not taking my own advice? And then I remember I brought my fiance to one of your groups on a Wednesday. She liked it. She was still kind of like, I don't know. And then like we just kept coming. And all of a sudden it was just like, this was the place we needed to be. After you had prophesied to her about her womb, I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. You know what I'm saying? Because up until that point, we're kind of still skeptical about pastors. And I don't blame her for that too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, and I knew you were my friend, you know what I'm saying? I apologize to you, man. Again, like you were always had the best intentions for everybody. And I think that I let that situation get to me to the point where I was just like, man, I had to pull away from you, dog. So I apologize for that. Because I feel like I let you down, bro. So anyways, I came back, and got restored, and been riding till the wheels fall off ever since, bro. Yeah. It is what it is.
But sometimes you need that. You need to kind of disconnect a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that that was a part of your process.
Yeah.
How are you doing now, bro?
Well,
so that was
question.
2020.
That was 2020. So 2021. We started going officially to Fam City Center. We went to the Awakening. We got restored, got built back up. You know what I'm saying? God poured into us. I kind of felt that little bounce back into the ministry again. And I'd be damned if I don't say this, but like there's still some times I've kind of have to fight that spirit of wanting to just chill. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I know from all the prophecies I've gotten, God is like, nah, man, you need to. You know what I'm saying? And I can't just disrespect God like that. You know what I'm saying? So, now it's to the point where, I love and invest myself back into the ministry again, but more so my relationship with God is completely different from what it was. My relationship with God has completely changed to the point where I see him in such a different light because I kept thinking to myself about works, but that was completely different because they kind of paint the picture at PTM. It's like, if you're not working this hard, you're not sacrificing enough, God doesn't approve of you. That type of deal. You know what I'm saying? So, and I had to switch that around and to see it's not about, as much as I knew this in the Bible, it's just a difference when you actually have that revelation of it. As to see God as the Father who loves you no matter what. There's nothing that can separate you from the love of Christ. Like the Bible says in Romans, nothing can separate you from that. And you can never outrun God's love. Ever. You cannot outrun his love, bro. And God loved me so much to take me through that process, you know what I'm saying? And at the same time, to show me that, hey, no matter what, I'm still with you. I still love you. And he was using people to tell me, dude, you're still a man of God. You're still a man of God. No matter all the stuff I was doing after church, I was just like, living my life. You know what I'm saying? And just, and just going back into the dating scene and stuff like this. I always knew God was trying to draw me back. Like, bro, come on, man. There's people, that you got to go out and help and stuff like that. And when Ashley died, that pissed me off to the point where it's just like, man, I got to kick this dude in the nuts, Satan, in some way, shape, or form.
I thought you meant David.
I know.
Well, in 2019, after I left, I got a call. I was at work. I got a call from a private number.
I was about to ask you that one.
I don't normally pick up private numbers. For some strange reason, I'm sitting at my desk, and I pick up this private call. I answer the phone. He goes, Steven. I already knew who the hell it was. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why the hell are you calling me? That's exactly the question I asked him. Why are you calling me? So he's just like, which one of y'all left this envelope? I think it was a box or something that left the proof that he was cheating on Carol or something like that. It left it on his doorstep or whatever, his garage. I don't know, his driveway. He was yelling at me like that, cussing me out. I'm like, this dude is cussing me out, bro. Still like this dude. He called me a mother effer. You know what I'm saying? He said he's gonna F me up. I said, you gonna F me up. Man, I said, hold on, man. I
Hey,
got up.
show him your hat again. Show him your hat again.
I'm saved. I have issues. I know I need God. Being saved doesn't mean you're perfect. You know what I'm saying? Some people heard what I said earlier about being from A-Leaf, you know what I'm saying? And, me using that as an excuse to throw hands. At the end of the day, I'm a man who has many faults. And I am honest enough to tell you that I need Jesus. Okay? So anyway, God is still working on me. So, anyways, I got up out my seat. I walk outside and I said, nigga, don't you ever, you know what I'm saying? I said, you said you gonna F me up? I said, tell me when the F you gonna F me up. You know what I'm saying? Show me the place. Let me know. Cause I want to be there. Cause I've been wanting to whoop you know what I'm saying? For the longest. You know what I'm saying? I've been wanting to beat you down. So tell me where you want to meet. You know what I'm saying? When you want to fight. Cause I damn sure will show up and beat the hell out of you. I said, man, your daughter got bigger balls than you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I just kept going off on this dude, man. I cussed him out, man. I was talking about, I mean, I just, all the pent up frustration, it had just came out in a very fleshy way. Was it right? No. You know what I'm saying? But I gave into that, you know what I'm saying? And I just cussed him out, and he was challenging me, kept calling me names and stuff like this. And I'm like, bro, just name the place. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? He's yet to respond. So anyway, he's like, and I told him like on the phone, it's like, okay, cool. Keep cussing me out. You threatening me. You say you're going to F me up. I'm recording this conversation, you know? And I'm recording this conversation. I'm going to tell the police, and they're going to find you. And then, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You're going to get booty tapped. So anyway, so, 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 so then when I said that, this dude's whole demeanor changed. He's like, no, man, Steven, I was just, you know what I'm saying? I was just really trying to figure out, man, if you was the one. I see that, you weren't the one that was trying to, you know what I'm saying, trying to start mess. I just know how you can get, man. I'm sorry. So I said, man, F you, bro. And I hung up on the phone on him. So then I go back to my desk, and this dude is texting me from a number now. It's a number now. And he's texting me talking about, he didn't mean to say that. He's sorry that, he was just upset. People were trying to mess with his life and whatever he was talking about. And then, and I was like, bro, you fake, bro. Now you're trying to be a politician. Now you're trying to pretend like you didn't say what you said. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, well, I just know how you can get and all this other junk like this. So then it gets to the point where he's telling me, and I told him, like, bro, you cheated on your wife. He goes, that's why I'm not a Christian anymore. He never said, no, I didn't cheat on my wife. He just said that's why I'm not a Christian anymore. He said he's not a pastor anymore. He said he's not a Christian anymore. All those types of things. So he renounced his Christianity through a text message, and after the things I've heard about him lately, and from back then until now, it's just full blown. He's living however he's living. I still pray for him, and I pray that God would restore his heart, mainly his daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly.
So from that point, that's how I wanted to structure my question. Okay. So from that point to now, how's your heart towards him? Like, what would you tell him if he's listening?
How would I tell him?
Yeah. I don't know how have your heart progressed or changed over that time, and how do you feel towards him now?
For the first part, man, I was really honestly, man. I took the screenshots that I had, and I really tried to tell a cop friend of ours. I was like, bro, how can I beat this dude behind and still not go to jail for it? You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, he threatened me, so how can I beat him up and not be held liable? That's what I was trying to do. You know what I'm saying? But for years it took after the whole thing would actually happen, I wanted to beat him up even more. You know what I'm saying? Because I know he doesn't feel any type of way about it.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe it's his fault. When it's damn sure his fault. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to help
why was it his fault?
Because he was the one flirting with her, trying to get with her instead of helping her out in the situation that she was in. He was just trying to get in her pants. So he knows he's the one that he broke the trust. She felt some kind of way about pastors, and she said she didn't want to go to church no more. She tried reaching out to myself and Mike. The last night I ever saw her alive, Mike and I prayed for her, and it kind of went through one ear and out the other.
Yeah. And whenever she would come to my house, bro, like she would talk to me and my wife, but she would always. I told her that's like I always gave her the scripture in John 5 where they had the pool, which is they would get healed from. I said, sister, come to the ministry. There's a pool of God's presence. All you got to do is step into it. You're gonna get better. You're gonna get healed. And she would just start crying, and it would always go back to PTM. It would always go back to David.
And
Always go back to him.
and
of
it's
how
because
she, of how she felt.
he was she was in a vulnerable state,
Yeah.
right? And
You try to
David
capitalize on it.
David tried to spit game and try to
Yeah.
make advances on her.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Talked about some sexual stuff with her.
Yeah, and I read it verbatim on SB's episode, so of what he told her, So I tell people this, bro. Like, I don't think. I mean, obviously, physically, she, it's the drugs that
Yeah,
put her there.
yeah.
But dude, I really believe she died or got hurt through a broken heart, man. And I really believe her heart was just so broken with a bad upbringing, her dad not there, her mom in prison, and then this supposed to be your home, this supposed to be your spiritual father, and then he just starts talking to you
Yeah.
like this. I mean, it does something to you. And then when the church
Yeah.
shuts down, they remove her out of the group. That really hurt
Yeah.
her, man. And she's like, dude, I thought that was my home. She was like us, bro, loyal to the
Yeah,
T.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Type of person. And so it just that really, really got to her, man.
Yeah.
So I do believe people, you have to take responsibility. Okay, yeah, you went to drugs. That is on you. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah.
But for David to be like, nah, I don't have no part to play in that.
Yeah.
No, man.
Well,
that's,
I mean,
that's a lie.
because this girl trusted him, and
Yeah.
from what I saw some text messages where he was, talking about this is a person that she sees as her pastor,
Right, correct.
and he's over here talking about her breasts.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And kind of just saying weird things that I'm sure confused her.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that probably really,
It does something to you.
yeah, messed with her.
Yeah, man.
But she spoke to his wife.
She spoke
She tried to speak to his wife.
Carol.
Yeah, and she was, even after all of that happened, she was just like, no, like that's my pastor. Like, let's pray for him.
Yeah.
Like we gotta pray for him. Like he really got like a problem, and she gets kicked out like from that page that we had. Right? She's
Like
trying
the
to.
Facebook page.
Yeah. She's trying to get help. She's trying to make sure that he gets help as well, and she just gets the boot. And like
Dang.
the only thing that she knows is the streets. The only thing she knows is how to do drugs. That's a lifestyle that she knew before Christ.
Yeah.
But
So
you gotta,
obviously you're gonna run to that.
yeah, you got to understand this too, though, bro. Like, so I believe in his mind, like he knew that he messed up with her.
Yeah.
So it's like when everything went down and the church closed, why are you gonna try to restore that? So he's like, just let her go, type of deal. Like, just wipe your hands clean. Let's move on. That's why he called Chris. He ain't trying to restore. You know what I'm saying? Ashley,
No,
he
the
already knew he messed up with her, so
Crazy
just
thing,
let her go.
The crazy thing that you say that is that even after we had that meeting with Carol on that Wednesday, and I told her like I didn't want to go there. She met with Crystal and the rest of the girls. Those girls were willing to help Pastor Carol, and Ashley was one of those girls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was willing to help her, dude. So she really knows she needs to be in God's house, but the way they treated her after that, it was kind of like, forget it then. You know what I'm saying?
Ties, yeah.
So,
burn bridges.
yeah, so her heart was completely just like, I guess, broken, after that. So, anyways, I forgot what point I was on when so you asked me,
No, yeah, we're
what
just
would
saying,
I
so
say
how-
to him
correct.
if I saw him? Well, to be honest with you, first of all, my heart, you asked about my heart. My heart before it was like, I just need to beat this guy up. But then afterwards, I just thought to myself, like, I wouldn't want to be him on Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Because God sees everything. He knows everything. He knows every motive. He knows everything about us. And the damage that I can do to this man physically is nothing compared to what God can do to him. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, by taking his soul and sending it to hell. You know what I mean? So his judgment day already that's fine. That's vindication enough for me. If you want to talk about it from a natural sense, you know what I'm saying? Just knowing that, okay, I mean, hey, I wouldn't want to be him on Judgment Day. It's him. Because I have my own Judgment Day to worry about. I'm worried about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm worried about my heart because I don't want to go to hell because I haven't forgiven this dude. Yeah. So I believe I've forgiven him. You know what I mean? I prayed for him. I prayed for his wife still. I pray for both of them. I don't know if they're still together or not. I really don't know. I pray for their daughter. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So to answer your question, if I were to see him face to face, honestly, I don't know what I would say. And I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would say. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm going to say what's up. I don't want to say God bless you. I don't want to say, hey, I want to pray for you, because you don't know you've forgiven somebody until you actually see them face to face.
Yeah.
You don't know if you've forgiven somebody that offended you until you actually encounter that person. You know, SB's episode, go watch it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, honestly. I don't know. But I do know this, going back to my statement, God is the vindicator of all things. And the Bible says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Am I calling down vengeance on this man's life? No. You know what I'm saying? I'm praying that God restores it. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's going to do it. But if he hardens his heart, I mean, that's him. You know what I'm saying? My concern is all the people that I hurt along the way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My concern is more about the people who had so many gifts. Like, dude, Homer was my dog, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Homer is that's my bro. You know what I'm saying? And he's not consistently going to church. The last time I spoke to him, at least, there was nephews. They were like, he doesn't really go to church as often. That dude had a gift.
Yeah.
And they abused him. You know what I'm saying? And he left, Zach, Amy, I apologize to them. I know I treated them bad, you know what I'm saying? Max, him too. There were other people, man, I had mentioned, like, I had apologized to Glenda. That's my goddaughter's mom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And she don't even go to church no more. She was in my group. My homeboy Osmond. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Osmond was one of the greatest dudes you could ever meet. Yeah. Soft-hearted. Yeah. He always wanted to pray for you. Courage. He was never angry. Yeah. Yes. Never. That's true. Every time you see this guy, he always had a smile on his face.
Amen. Yeah. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And shout out to his sister. She died, Monica. That was a lovely woman. Yeah. She always prayed for me. She always prayed for me. It's like, Stephen, I'm praying for your wife. Stephen, I'm praying for your wife. Amen. And then she died, you know what I'm saying? The sister, Eva, good, loyal person, you know what I'm saying? People like Tony. Man, that dude came up to me and he said, like, he started coming back to church, and I had to apologize to him because he told me, he's like, hey, man, you made me feel some kind of way back in the past. And I didn't even realize what the hell I was doing. Yeah. I was just modeling after what was shown before me because I had been saved, but I ain't never been discipled like that. I thought that this is the way you're supposed to be a leader to. Yeah. Everybody, Chris, JP, Mo, all them guys that got hurt by me, you know what I'm saying, Mauricio, I don't know, Precious and Lauren and Natalie and Harry and all them guys, you know what I'm saying? All those people along the way that if I rubbed them the wrong way, I apologize for that, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I know that God has a plan for them. Amen. And if they're not serving God, I really feel bad, you know what I'm saying? Even people like Alex, who was a great boxer. Yeah. But I know he's an even greater man of God. At the age of 12, he had his own small group. Yeah, amen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And his brother, too. His little brother, he used to act with me all the time in the plays. Yeah. I don't even know if they're serving God like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? All those teenagers, I built relationships. David and Linda, all of them. You know what I'm saying? That's who I worry about. Because if this is the example of a pastor, what makes you think they want to serve God anymore?
And those kids, they're grown now. Yeah. They experienced, they knew what was going on with everything, the unhealth and the trauma of the church. So I'm sure that it affected them.
Yeah. I hope not. I hope that God restored them, you know what I'm saying? I haven't reached out to them, but I know that since I left, the first girl I talked about, she don't even serve God no more, bro. And this chick had a good calling on her life. You could tell she was going to be a preacher. Yeah. But she don't even want to serve God no more, Shout out to that boy, Shaquay. Shaquay was a good dude. It's my brother. Yeah. Him and Leslie, too. Good man and woman of God. Amazing rapper. You know what I'm saying? And Marlon, too. Marlon was a good, loyal guy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So these are people that, I had contact with. And, these are good people. What's her name? Karen. She was a good girl, too. She, you know what I'm saying? She was awesome. And her thing, Sergio, that was my dog, man. You know what I'm saying? Your brother, him and his wife. If they would have never went to that church, you know what I'm saying, what would have happened? You see what I'm saying? Because more marriages, broke apart rather than get healed. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So his brother, Serge, was a good friend. He's a good, loyal guy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I love that guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, dog, all these people that I had contact with that were my friends, you know what I'm saying? People like, Alma and Stephanie and Ramon and Brisa, and all of them people, you know what I'm saying? Like all those relationships that I built along the way, they just went like this. You know what I'm saying? Because of everything that was going on in the church, and plus not understanding the narrative, and plus having a picture being painted about us that was wrong. Yeah. You know how many people this dude lied to about me? You know what I'm saying? Told things about me that were wrong. Talking about I was trying to sleep around with everybody in the church. That's complete BS. You know what I'm saying? So all these things they're trying to paint the picture of me. That's the kind of perception they have. But I'm telling you, that's wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
did they talk about different people like that behind their backs?
Always.
Kind of like
Always, man.
Kind of like demonize them.
Always, every single person, they try to say that there was something about this person that was completely wrong, and you know they're evil, they're wicked, they want to go
Bro,
back to
me,
their
me
ways.
and Steven prayed for Mauricio. He was crying. Steven prophesied to him, hugged him, you know, like a dad to a son type of deal. And then we were, you know, I asked him to take him out for his birthday, like he was saying. And then he just looks at me like, you know what, I can't go with you. I'm like, dude, you just said you were gonna want to come with me. And then David took him into the office, talked to him, and I'm like, dude, David didn't do nothing for you, man. Like
He really
nothing,
didn't.
bro.
He really
you know,
didn't.
and when we did so much for him, but yet he was so like persuaded, or I would even say demonized, just manipulated into thinking about
where is
something.
Mauricio today?
Yeah, I don't know. Because he still stuck around after we left. He was still there.
You brought up Pastor Octavio Machuca, who was the overseer, and you were kind of talking as if he was the right thing would have been for him to step in and remove David or correct the situation. Like where did he fail as an
Boy.
overseer?
Boy, am I glad you brought his name up because I completely forgot one important part of the story. Okay,
Thank you,
so
So my question is, what went wrong?
okay, I don't disrespect him whatsoever, but he completely fumbled the ball. Okay, number one, he should have never been the overseer of a family member because it's always going to be in the best interest of the family member. Why? Because you got to protect the image of the family, right?
So what was he like?
He did nothing. He did nothing. That's the answer to the question. He just provided them a building after they left, and he did absolutely nothing. Okay, nothing, nothing. And when
He
I
didn't
asked,
remove him or
hell no. You know, I met this man after everything went down. I went to go watch a UFC fight, okay, at Buffalo Wild Wings. I see, okay, I see him and his wife, okay, and they're sitting down having their dinner and everything like this, and I'm sitting at the table, and I sit specifically at the booth at the edge so they can see me when they coming out because I want them to see me. You know what I'm saying? And this is after David had called me and cussed me out and all this other stuff, you know. So he comes up to me. He's like, his wife says, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" Yeah, you know me, fool.
come on.
So
That's what she said.
yeah, she's like, "Don't I know you from somewhere?" I'm like, "I know you recognize me, bro."
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? So then like keep in mind it was like kind of like maybe
That's like me saying,
Let's look into the camera with the weird looks. Come on, man.
That's like you telling me, do I know
I
you?
know you from come on, man. Like you know me. Come on, like
and then like
And it's Steven for crying out loud.
you gonna remember me.
hey,
All Nigerian man.
don't I know you from somewhere?
So I'm like, and I'm like
That's
this.
so whack.
So I said, hey, listen. I need to talk to your husband. And I told him to sit down. You know what I'm saying? So he sat down, and I told him, I don't appreciate the narrative that y'all trying to paint about me and Mike. We had never tried to steal the church. That was what your brother-in-law did. You know what I'm saying? Your brother-in-law destroyed everything in the church. He did all these wicked things. Stop trying to paint the picture about us that we did something we didn't do. You know what I'm saying? So he sat there. He's like listening to what I'm saying. He's like, yeah, Stephen, I understand what you're saying, but we're going to see what the Holy Spirit is going to do. What the hell are you talking about, bro? He's like, I don't want to be David on Judgment Day because I know he did some wrong things, and I know that he's not where he needs to be right now. But I just want to let you know that your heart has to be in the right place and forgive. Okay, I've already forgiven. All right, bro. But you did nothing. You know what I'm saying?
He's supposed to be the overseer.
Ashley's blood is on his hands too. If you're supposed to be the overseer of the pastor and you know all this information, the blood of that person is on your hands as well. He
Why
did
did he allow it to continue though? Like, why didn't he put a stop to it?
Well, my friend, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? I don't know.
So let me tell you, let me jump in and tell you this part, bro. So when
Like-
the whole video came out and the text messages, Octavio did come, and we were in that meeting. Stephen was preaching, and so he like was supposedly there to correct him, which he did. Read some verses, wadi wop wop, And then I'm assuming at that time, okay, he's gonna come in and like really kind of talk to the church and pastor the church or bring some of his leaders into the church or something, to take over. But no, David sat down, Carol took over, but when she took over, David was still calling the shots.
Yeah.
So it's not like he really did much there. I mean, yeah, you came in to supposedly sit him down and make it quote unquote official, but that's when he made the quotes, which everybody said, man, I'm still calling the shots from the seats. And he would brag about that, boast about that.
David.
Yeah. So it's like, there was no really accountability there. And again, I blame myself. Like, I didn't know church government, like I do now. And I feel like all that was just, him being able to still be in power and be in
But I
control.
think that Octavio, he should have known better because
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you
I
get what I'm
agree.
saying? Because
I agree.
he's older.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like he's
was
been
his
doing-
former
he's been
leader.
doing
He was
ministry for a
David's
long
leader
time.
in the old church that David came from. He was his leader.
So my question,
Speaking of his old church.
and I'm wondering is like, how come Octavio didn't really reprimand, really bring correction, really seek change through, really seek to restore?
And let me say this too, this is my opinion too, because you just reminded me of something. Bro, when I was gonna leave and I sat down with her, with Carol, dude. I remember she even told me, she's like, they can come in and sit my husband down, whatever, but they're not gonna take this church from me. She's like, this is my church. Like she got like, like crunk, bro. Carol did,
How?
you know,
Like she
like,
got loud or
yeah, no, like,
like
because she's very
aggressive,
sweet lady,
aggressive.
and she's just like, this
This
is
is my
different."
church.
Yeah, bro. Like took total possession. Like they're not gonna take
Yo.
it from me. This is mine. I'm gonna lead this thing, type of deal. So that's what I mean. Like I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, although I think he did mess up. But it's like, bro, at the end of the day, you're not gonna strip something from somebody if they're not gonna, give it up willingly.
Yeah.
So that's why I was telling people, like, the best thing to do in a situation like that is don't give them nobody to pastor. Leave, man. Because they're
You
not
think it
gonna
would've-
let go. They're not gonna let go.
What do you think would have been the solution? What do you guys think would have been the solution?
Obviously, the proper
Like, did it
solution.
need to shut down? Did the church need
Absolutely.
to shut down?
They
Like,
needed to be
what
removed.
year?
It needed to be removed. He needed to be removed from ministry. I would say about the last time that everything happened when they went to their room and everybody met together.
What,
He shoulda-
2019?
I think it was 2017. This is 2016,
Oh,
2017.
okay.
He should have been removed from ministry completely at that time because
You
even
know-
when his wife was preaching, all he would do in the back is sit in the back on his laptop and he would just message girls. He would just message them. He would message.
He was always on his
Yeah,
laptop doing
bro.
something.
Bro, for
Then
this,
he was taking notes, but then there was this chat where he was over here talking to whoever, you know what I'm saying? And because I don't know why you need security, you know what I'm saying? If this is a church, you know what I mean? Yeah, but it's a small church. But even after all this, that's going on, everything like this, I was sitting in the back, and every time I was sitting in the back, I'm supposed to monitor the back, outside, all this other stuff. And he was always in the back just texting whoever, you know what I'm saying, pretending he's taking notes, but he was over there messaging girls.
yeah. But for the sake of the church, bro, like, honestly, again, this is my personal opinion. I think that if he would have, really submitted to Fajardo, like the way he should have, I believe John Garza would have came back for the love of our church because he was friends with David and being able to take over so that she could get her family in order and either step down and go get restored with him or divorce him, whatever you're going to do. And that guy and his team, maybe mixed with Octavio's team and our team, because they had a lot of loyal people that really loved God, and loved the church, would have helped, restore it or maybe bring it back to life, But at the end of the day, that's not something that was in her perception to actually step away or step down to focus on her marriage. She never wanted to do that. So she just kept trucking on, And I just think it just caught up to
It
her.
wasn't
man.
her priority, man.
So, yeah.
Her marriage wasn't her priority at that particular point.
Like, I think the
You
church was
talk
more
about-
important than her marriage.
You talked about
Church was more important
Than
than
her marriage. Yeah. That's the picture she paints to us.
you talked about the old ministry. They paint the narrative was that they got kicked out of their old ministry, and that's not what happened. The word came out that the truth that they got kicked out of the reason why they left their former ministry,
David and Carol.
yes, was that they wanted to start something. Their pastor was like, "No, hold on." So the narrative was that David got kicked out because his pastor was intimidated by him. That was the narrative. That was a lie. The truth is David left on his own admission because he didn't agree But what his pastor said, he's like, nah, forget it. And he went to go start. He left and tried to start his own ministry, and PTM was born and all that other stuff. But the truth is this: their old pastor told Carol, because Carol was one of the most anointed people in their church, according to what other people were saying.
Yeah.
People will fall out at her messages in the parking lot because of how anointed she was. That's a big anointing. But he told her, don't marry this man. Don't marry this man because he is a manipulator. She ignored what her pastor said and she married him anyway. And now look where we're at.
Yeah, he warned her of him, And the whole deal with him, bro, was that he had an English church inside an all
So
speaking
this is
Spanish
at
church.
you guys are talking about Iglesia Benecer.
Yeah. So he had it was a Spanish church, all Spanish speaking, and he had an English church that he had started. So then whenever his pastor told him, I don't feel like this is where God's leading me right now, I need you to go ahead and close that group and focus on the Spanish people only. He was already a leader in that place with Octavio. And that's when he said, man, well, I'm just going to leave. And that's when you get the twins, Homer, Patricia, and all them. They know him from way back then, bro.
Yeah.
And that's when he took them, away from that group or from that, church,
Rock of Help
or
Fellowship,
something
yeah.
like that, yeah. And started, with you guys in PTM, and that's when I got saved around that time. So
Crazy.
yeah, man.
I wanted to comment about how Carol said this is they're not gonna take it away. It's my church. I really felt like that's the only thing that she had a say in. I think that's why she responded in that way.
I don't even think that. Because he told her what to do every time. He's like, when it came to the messages,
Or maybe she
let's
believed
talk
she
about grace.
perceived that she had it.
Yes, she perceived that she had it, but he was always telling her what to say, what to preach.
Yeah.
Talk about grace, talk about grace. There was no message on conviction. I'm for grace all the time. But there was no, like, in the latter days, nobody stayed. There were people who came that were from the world who said that I don't trust that pastor.
Yeah.
Because we would introduce we would introduce them to David, and they're like, there's just something about that guy that I just don't trust. Same thing with our parents. He didn't want no parents come in there. He said, this is a youth church, yada, yada, yada. He painted the picture that this is too cool for y'all, and that you neglected all of these young kids for so long that we're actually paying attention to them, so bring on your kids. And he didn't want any, Christians coming there, you know what I mean? So he didn't want nobody challenging him whatsoever, you know what I'm saying? And that's also a part of Stockholm Syndrome. They try to get you away from any type of authority figure or anyone that has influence over your life. It all goes back to that Stockholm Syndrome. That's what it was.
Yeah, man, and I feel like if people would have just, if they would have just kind of came clean and just be honest, like, hey, this is what I did, dude, I think you had a better shot of really restoring the church. But there's things that we found out 10 years later that we didn't even know about that were brushed under the rug, and I just feel like that type of deception, like, man, it doesn't honor God. And so again, for everybody watching, that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're not trying to revisit the past or try to blame blame shift or condemn, criticize. No, we're trying to tell you our story and expose what really happened all these years because, man, it's
We don't want that
real.
to happen to
And
other
this-
people.
Yeah, and this is our life. Like, that was my life, man. 12 years of my life and my family. I mean, it's heartbreaking, man. And then to see people not want to talk to us, ruin our friendships. Think that my church is a cult. Like, it's heartbreaking, bro. Like, it hurts me, man. I don't know how many times I cried, in talking to my wife, like, man, I wish they would look at me differently, but I can't change somebody's perception of me. But now that it's been almost 4 years, I'm hoping that people are kind of seeing the truth here, like, okay, this is legitimate, and they were telling the truth. And I think we just really had to trust the Lord to vindicate us. But I just learned, man, like, I forgot what quote person said this, but it's crazy. He said that the truth can get around the world faster. A lie can get around the world faster than truth has to be able to put on its pants or something like that. And it's that's so true, man. Because I just looking back, man, like, man, I think he just lied so much because, man, lies work. Manipulation, intimidation, because it works. And it's just knowing how to play off people's parts. Whether it's generosity, loyalty. You don't have a dad, or it's crazy, very schemy, you know, and I just think it's a tragedy, man. You know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end with. I don't even want to end with this, but I am curious. Like, you're a big dude, Steven.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you're a black man.
Okay. Yes,
You
I
get what I'm
am.
saying?
Very proud black man, by the way. It's Black History Month.
So, you're kind of like a bull. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying? This guy is smaller than you.
Yeah.
So my question to you is like, how did how did how did this guy end up influencing your life and the trajectory of your young adult life?
Hmm.
Like, how did this guy influence you?
That's a good question
Like,
because that's a good question. But the answer to that question is this: things I grew up in a Christian home, right? But the things that I experienced in my home was a lot of um, division. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have a relationship with my dad that I would have loved to have. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Like I had a dad, but he was like the only way my dad showed me that he loved me was that through working hard, paying the bills, putting clothes on your back, things like that. So, and I chalked it up to my grandfather. I never met him, but my grandfather probably raised him that way. You know what I mean? So all those little life talks and stuff. Keep in mind when I was 22 years old, okay,
mhm,
the first time I ever saw a whole family sit at a table and eat dinner was at his house.
mm,
That was I'm like that this happens. You know what I'm saying? Like what? I only see this on TV, right? Just to see the dad and the mom and all everybody at the table is sitting down and eating. You know what I'm saying? That's how that was just a shocker to me. So I didn't really have like the relationship with my father like I did. So in a sense, he made it seem like as the spiritual way and just sitting down with him because after Cliff Bell prophesied to me, he's like, Steve, I want to meet with you alone. So I met with him. We talked. Actually, he was supposed to meet with me and Mark. Mark, he bailed out. You know what I'm saying? So he said, like, yeah, he's going to talk to Mark and Candace on his own. So he talked to me and he could relate to me on certain things, you know what I'm saying, that we've dealt with in the past. So he kind of painted the persona that, hey, I'm here for you. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? So I think that's what made it seem like, because I never had a pastor say, hey, let's just sit and talk and chat and let me know about your life, and then be like, I'm going to be here with you every single step of the way type of deal.
mhm.
So that's kind of like,
And that's something that you wanted
well, I don't want to say it's something that I wanted, but
or you
something I
needed.
needed. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I needed that type of guidance in life, not knowing that I was being set up, for the kill. The thing about deception is you don't know you're being deceived, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but you gotta understand too, bro. I mean, the dude was a great, great communicator, relationship builder.
very
I
charismatic.
mean, very, very good at that. You know, so I think God could have used it for good, but I also believe every gift can have a curse, where the enemy can use it for evil, and so I think that's sad. But was that your closing remarks or Crystal?
I'm
Yeah.
good.
Okay,
Yeah.
Crystal.
I'm just glad that, you're alive and you're healthy, like
Amen.
to be able to speak on this now. Like thinking back, it's just kind of like we really went through that.
Hmm.
Everyone has like their own story, their own perspective of seeing all of this go on, and yet you're still here.
Amen.
When unfortunately, not everyone can say that.
Mm,
Amen.
So
that's
Yeah.
true.
I'm just glad that you're able to tell your story.
Yeah. It's really sad, man, because this dude really only cared about his own agenda. I remember one time my sister was almost dying, you know what I mean? And I went to go help her out to see if, make sure everything was okay. And there was a event going on at the church where, I think it was like October, and he wanted, what's that guy's name? Legend. I think that's his name, the
Yeah.
little guy,
A little
to
legend.
rap. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, I want you to write his song for him. I'm like, I'm worried about my sister, bro. I ain't trying to worry about no event. And he's just like, no, man, I need you here, man. You can't let the church down. You know what I'm saying? So even when you're trying to be there for your family, and I apologize to my family, dog, because I wasn't even there for my own family when they needed me the most because I was just listening to this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't the brother I needed to be. I wasn't the son I needed to be. I was nothing. I was just all PTM, all PTM, all PTM. It was terrible, man.
Yeah. No, man. I just want to say I'm really proud of you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
I think you've come a very, very, very long way.
Yeah.
So I have much props to you, man. And I also want to say that I believe, which I've said it before, but I want to say it in front of everybody here that's gonna watch this, that you're a Peter, man. think you're a Peter. I think that Peters are necessary in the body of Christ because they're pioneers,
Yeah.
but I also believe that they're the most misunderstood type of people. Oh, and I just want to encourage you with this, man. So Jesus had the 70, the 12, and the three, and it's James, John, and Peter were the three, but he only gave the keys of the kingdom to one,
Yeah.
and that was Peter,
Amen.
the crazy one,
Yeah.
the cussing one, the one that wanted to chop off one of the high priest's head, you know. And so I think people need to understand that, we're not perfect. I consider myself, and I would even say Eric, they're Peters. I think we can be very confrontational, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think me and you got so painted wrong, because we can come on strong. Eric comes on very blunt, straightforward. But it's like, dude, if God wired us a certain way, I believe it's because we're supposed to be leaders. I think it's supposed to be pioneers, trendsetters, pave the way for people, even though, people can look at it a certain way. I think in the body of Christ, sometimes, and I want to speak this over you, man, sometimes people are looking for a pastor and God sends them a Peter, and I think that that's what you are. You're a Peter. And Peter was the lead apostle, man, in the New Testament when you read the book of Acts, the main guy, but he went through a lot of faults. He had a lot of failures. He had a lot of mistakes. His mouth got him in tons of trouble, And but God sanctified that tongue and used that mouth, and 3,000 people got saved. And let's not forget that Peter was the one who brought the gospel to us. Those of you that are watching that are not Jews, you're Gentiles, straight up heathens, turned saints. That's because of Peter. He was that kind of leader that God actually used, and the only one, from our understanding, that walked on water. Huge things that he was able to do. So I just want to speak that to everybody and over you, man. I think that you're a Peter, and I think that you're not perfect. I know all that you've been through and have struggled with, but dude, you've come such a long way. And I think, like that guy told you, God's not done with you yet. I think you're barely getting started, scratching the surface. But I want you to see all that you went through as just a great, great training ground, man, for what God's actually going to position you into and launch you, man, into your actual destiny. Really believe that.
I receive that.
And yeah, amen. So I love you, man. Okay, very proud of you.
Well, yeah.
And so also to finish with all those of you watching too, I just want to say, man, we're really sorry for hurting you. We made it clear on probably every single episode, if you watched all of them, that we're sorry for what we did, and we really would love to reconcile with you. But I remember this one guy saying this, and so I want to say this right now to you. It's I'm ready, but if you're not, I'm willing to wait for you. I'm ready because it takes one to forgive, but it takes two to reconcile. And so whenever you're ready, I want you to know that I'm here to talk to you, privately, and I want my friends back. I want to have a relationship with people again, and I don't want this to be the way it ends, because my God is a God who redeems. Amen. He's a God who restores. He's a God who makes all things new. And I'm happy, for Stephen and everybody that came on here, that I believe God is really doing something new in this day and hour. And I would hope that you would give us another chance to reconcile with you. So God bless you guys. All right, God bless you guys. Thank you for taking the time to watch through the entire episode. I want to just give a quick shout out to Stephen for being able to step up and share his testimony with us. And I want to encourage all of you, if any of these episodes has really related to you, spoke to you, or maybe stirred something in you, I want to encourage you to go to our website at famcitycenter.com, and I want you to click on the groups tab so you can find an affirmation group that's closest to you to be able to help your journey of healing process begin. So we hope to hear from you soon. God bless.